It was the wedding everyone whispered about, but almost no one truly saw. In the heart of Venice, Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez staged what some called the most extravagant and most secretive celebration of the year. While 200 celebrity guests stepped onto gleaming water taxis and the world's cameras strained for a glimpse, what unfolded behind the ancient walls of San Giorgio Maggiore remained hidden from view. But even in a city built on spectacle, no one was prepared for the swirl of controversy, protest, and jaw-dropping excess that surrounded their 3-day affair. On a warm Venetian afternoon, a procession of water taxis glided across the canals, carrying some of the most famous faces on the planet. Kim Kardashian stepped off in a sleek designer gown. Oprah waved to onlookers. Even Bill Gates quietly slipped into the crowd. Their destination was San Giorgio Maggiore, a tiny island crowned with marble basilicas that have watched over the lagoon for centuries. But that day, the Renaissance facades were transformed into the backdrop of a wedding shrouded in secrecy. Once the guests disappeared behind towering doors, all cameras were cut off. No live streams, no social media leaks, just a hush that settled over the festivities. Reportedly, every attendee agreed to a strict blackout, leaving the rest of the world to speculate about what was happening inside. When the ceremony finally ended, there were no triumphant exit photos or grainy phone videos to mark the moment. Instead, the only sign that vows had been exchanged came hours later, when Vogue unveiled a single, carefully curated image of Lauren Sanchez's gown. For months, rumors circled about what Lauren Sanchez would wear as she walked down the aisle. Some claimed it would be a vintage treasure. Others insisted a major fashion house had been secretly working on her look. In the end, it was both simpler and more spectacular than anyone guessed. The dress revealed in Vogue was a custom Dolce & Gabbana masterpiece. High-necked lace, a corseted silhouette, and a line of silk chiffon-covered buttons marching delicately down the front. It wasn't just any gown. This one had been a year and a half in the making, crafted in near-total secrecy. But Sanchez didn't stop at a single outfit. Over the course of the evening, she slipped into a second dress inspired by Rita Hayworth's sultry turn in the 1946 film Gilda, then capped the night in a dazzling cocktail dress encrusted with 175,000 shimmering crystals. Each look was a statement, designed to remind the world that even in the most private ceremony, the fashion would speak loud enough for everyone to hear. San Giorgio Maggiore has always been a place of beauty. Its soaring basilicas and marble courtyards have inspired painters and poets for centuries. But for Bezos and Sanchez, the island offered something far more practical: protection. As news of their wedding plans spread, protests erupted across Venice. Activists draped banners over bridges, threatened to blockade the canals, and even planted uncanny mannequins of Bezos along the waterfront to mock the billionaire's arrival. According to reports, the backlash grew intense enough that the couple had to switch one of their planned locations at the last minute. Choosing San Giorgio Maggiore wasn't just about its grandeur. It was about locking down the event behind ancient stone walls that tourists and protesters couldn't breach. Security teams were stationed around every corner, determined to keep the ceremony sealed off from prying eyes. Yet even as guards patrolled the docks, the city itself bristled with resentment over what many saw as a billionaire takeover of Venice's fragile beauty. While protesters gathered outside the city's landmarks, a steady stream of celebrities arrived in full view of the cameras. Kylie Jenner stepped onto a water taxi in a powder blue lace-up corset gown that turned heads even among a sea of couture. Kim Kardashian chose a sleek, dark toffee dress that clung to her figure under the Venetian sun. Oprah swept past in a draped pink mermaid silhouette, waving to the photographers who had waited hours to catch a glimpse. Inside the ceremony, the fashion parade continued. Guests mingled in vintage Roberto Cavalli, Oscar de la Renta, Versace, designers whose names alone conjure images of opulence. There were whispered reunions, discreet toasts, and the hum of excitement that only happens when the richest people on earth gather behind closed doors. For many, the wedding wasn't just a celebration of love, it was a showcase of wealth and influence, all staged against the backdrop of a city that has become an almost mythic playground for the elite. For all the spectacle and secrecy, one question remained stubbornly unanswered. Were Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez actually married that day? As rumors swirled about the guest list and the security measures, an unexpected detail surfaced. A spokesperson for Venice's mayor's office confirmed that no official marriage request had been filed with the city. In other words, the entire ceremony might have been purely symbolic. Some speculated that the couple had quietly signed their legal documents in the US before jetting off to Italy. Others believed they were saving the formal paperwork for another date altogether. Whatever the truth, no one was willing to clarify. The ambiguity only added another layer of intrigue to an event already wrapped in mystery. For the world watching from afar, it became clear that even the most lavish wedding can leave people wondering if the real moment happened long before the cameras showed up. As dusk settled over the Venetian lagoon, the celebration transformed from a discreet ceremony into a full-scale spectacle. When the first notes drifted through the ancient halls of San Giorgio Maggiore, guests turned to see Matteo Bocelli, son of the legendary tenor Andrea Bocelli, step forward. His voice carried through the marble corridors as he sang, "Can't Help Falling in Love," an intimate moment that reportedly left more than a few eyes glistening. But the evening was far from over. Whispers circulated that Lady Gaga herself would close out the weekend's festivities with a surprise performance. While official details stayed tightly under wraps, Italian media claimed she was scheduled to take the stage at the Arsenale, Venice's historic shipyard turned cultural hotspot. Once a medieval fortress of industry, the Arsenale now hosts some of the world's most celebrated events, and for one night, it became the final stage for a wedding already etched into the city's history. Just when it seemed the spectacle had finally quieted, Lauren Sanchez made one last move that spoke louder than any performance. Mere hours after Vogue published the first images of her elaborate gown, she changed her Instagram handle to Lauren Sanchez Bezos. It was a simple update, just a few taps on a phone screen, but it signaled a transformation that was as public as it was personal. For some, the new name confirmed that the relationship had officially crossed into a new chapter regardless of whether legal paperwork had been filed in Venice or not. To others, it was the ultimate statement of belonging to a world defined by billion-dollar fortunes, global headlines, and meticulously curated images. As the last guests slipped out into the Venetian night and the water taxis ferried them back to their palazzos, the city exhaled. The most secretive wedding of the year had come to a close, but the questions it left behind were only beginning. Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's wedding was a spectacle of contrasts, an event both dazzling and deliberately hidden, filled with star power but shadowed by controversy. It captured the imagination of the world while sparking fierce debate over wealth, privacy, and the meaning of celebration in a city struggling to preserve its soul. Was it a fairy tale for the ages, or a symbol of excess that Venice and the world can't ignore? Whatever side you take, one thing is certain: this wedding won't be forgotten anytime soon.